Back in the 1930s, folks across America were facing the hardest times this country's ever seen. The Great Depression had hit. The Dust Bowl rolled through places like Oklahoma and Texas, and a hot meal could mean the difference between going hungry and holding on. So we're stepping back in time, and believe me, them times was hard because I heard all them stories from them old timers that went through the Dust Bowl and the Depression, and we're fixing two simple dishes today that they probably had: a salt pork stew, and for dessert, rice pudding. In 1929, the stock market crashed, and the money was gone overnight. And in 1932, the Great Drought had hit, and the winds had blowed, and people had been overplowing for years, and the Dust Bowl was amongst us. Farm wives became some of the most resourceful cooks this country's ever seen. They'd trade recipes through letters and newspapers, like the Household Searchlight recipe book out of Kansas, sharing ideals for stretching every scrap of food. Government pamphlets taught families how to reuse bacon grease, dry beans for storage, and even boil wild weeds like lamb quarters just to get a few greens on the table. They had a saying back then: use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. And that's exactly what they did. It wasn't just food that kept them alive, it was the spirit of forgiveness and the belief that tomorrow night might just be a little better than today. Now, I've heard these stories all my life from the old timers that I knew that went through the Depression and the Dust Bowl. Now, Oklahoma got hit just as bad as Texas, and some of the panhandle up there was even worse. But these people figured it out. They had true grit, because that grit not only got in their teeth, it got in their heart and soul. And supper, well, it might be anything you could catch or put in the pot. Salt pork stew. Now, a lot of y'all may not even know what salt pork is. Now, it's really just the rind of the hog there with a little meat on it that was cured in salt. And a lot of people back then had smokehouses, they cured their own meat, so salt pork might have been readily available, and I know on the wagon for an old cook, he had a lot of salt pork. But start this recipe out, and you can use any bean you want. But today, we are using lima bean. Now, you can get canned beans if you want to do this a little quicker and just pour them in there. But we soaked these lima beans about probably an hour and a half. We're going to put them on the fire. No seasoning at all. Because when we get the salt pork over there and go to cooking it, remember the name? Salt pork. We're going to get some of that fat that's rendered down, make a gravy and a sauce that goes in this, so there will be no seasoning in this itself. If you'll wait, I'll meet you right over at the fire. Salt pork. You can see it looks a lot like bacon in a way, but there's a lot more rind on this than there is meat. I want to get this salt sort of rinsed off of it a little, so I always like to give it a quick rinse. It's still going to be cured with salt, so there's going to be a salty taste, but we're going to rinse it off to get some of that off the outside edges. And then we're just going to chunk it, throw it in a cast iron skillet, and render it down. Well, carrots in there, onion, red skin potatoes. Them little beans have got about, I'd say 3/4 tender to where we want them. Still no seasoning yet, okay? Salt pork, we just gotta let it cook over here and render down, because we need some of that there fat that's gonna melt out of there, just so we can make this sauce that goes in there. Because we'll drain the water off this, the sauce will become what is the base and the stock for the best soup and stew you ever had. perfect doneness here on this salt pork. You want it good and crispy. So we're gonna get it out of that grease. Use your slotted spoon, whatever you got. But we wanna make sure all them drippings stay in there because that is the magic stuff right there. Get them all out here on a plate. It's pretty, I'll tell you. To me, sort of first glance at it, you think, them's fried taters. No, that is fried salt pork that has rendered down all these good drippings in here that is gonna make some of the best sauce you ever seen in your life. Gonna let that grease cool just a bit. Time to make some gravy. You wanna sift that flour in here. Get you a flat spatula because you wanna mash all that flour in there. We sort of get it like we want it. We'll take it back over there to the fire to where we can cook this down a little. Little more flour. Get her mashed down in there again. You know, most time when you're making gravy, and you see me make it a lot, canned milk, cream, milk. Back then, hey, there was a lot of water gravy made because old milk cow, she might have done passed on during hard times. But I'll meet y'all back at the fire because we're going to thicken this up before we add any water to it. Got our vegetables going right there. Gonna make this gravy, try to put it together because we got a family to feed. We're gonna let this get a little thicker. We're gonna add just a tad more flour. Sift her on in there. There we go. Now things is beginning to happen a little. Try to knock them lumps out of it if you get a chance. As my grandmother used to say so many times again, it's bad when you got a sift gravy and it's got too many lumps in it. But back then, I think a lump of gravy might have went a long way. Well, beginning to thicken up it is. So, we're gonna add some water. How much? I can't give you that amount either. Just till we can make it work to where it's a good sauce. And as that cold water hits it, it'll begin to lump up if it gets a chance, and this has. Just keep stirring. I ain't never seen a batch we couldn't save. Might have to get the cheese grater out and run it on there a time or two, but hey, we're gonna make us some gravy. Now when you're making this, remember, we gotta pour it over all of that. So we need it to be more than a cup full. And it's getting a little smoother. Got a few lumps in it, but we'll see if we can knock them out. We're gonna keep stirring this, and it's about the right thickness it is. We're gonna give a little taste right here, because I know it's gonna need some black pepper. I'd eat that every day. There's such a unique flavor to me that salt pork brings out, and we'll have to, when we get this mixed together, we'll have to add some more water as this is cooking. So this is good. I'm gonna set this off the fire to where I can drain all the water and stuff off them beans, and we'll start over. Before refrigeration, salt was the cowboys and the farmers' best friend. Salt pork was cured so heavy with salt that it could last for months in a cellar or a smokehouse. During the Depression, butchers would often sell trimmings cheap, ends of pork belly, but sometimes just rind and fat. And folks would stretch that into a stew that'd feed a family. Salt pork wasn't new to hardship. It was a Civil War ration, a staple on sailing ships, and a trail provision long before the Depression. Flour was currency. Many general stores ran barter boards. Folks could trade eggs or butter for a sack of flour or salt pork. Nothing went to waste. Even the pork rind was rendered down for lard, used for biscuits, soap, or lamp oil. Done deal it is, salt pork stew. Now, let's just go back in time and try to be transformed back to this old farmhouse. Dirt blowed all up against it is. 3 kids, the wife, the husband, and they're all sitting there, overalls, dirty as they can be, and she brings this little pot out and sets it there of salt pork stew. and you look across the table and everything, and the kids begin to smile. And they know they have done something good today, because simplicity of what food they had on hand to make it taste the best that they could in the times that were so hard didn't only just fill their stomach, it filled their spirit. There was more morale. They knew they could make it one more day. These people were one of the greatest generations that ever lived to me, and the toughest. Now, I haven't never made this or tried it. Got to get a carrot in there, one potato. The crunch you get from that salt pork, and remember, we added no salt to this at all. It is right on the money, folks. Everything is so good. It's just a flavor that I really can't describe as well. Maybe like bacon grease gravy, and you add it to your soup. That's what it sort of tastes like. But the little crunch of the pork rind that's rendered down to me, that is solid gold right there. Because remember, hard times were there. There might not have been a lot of meat, but salt pork was pretty cheap and sometimes readily on hand if they had some left. So add it to this, make it a meal. They'll bless it. They'll make it tomorrow. Now, this is a story that my dad relayed to me so many times when the dirt would go to blowing after I was 15, 16 years old. He said, I hope it don't turn out like the Dust Bowl. He said, because them days was hard and they was long. He said the first time they seen one of them old black clouds coming up, they thought maybe it was a tornado. But he said the cloud just rolled and rolled further and further up in the sky. And he said it got dark at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And he said it wasn't rain, it wasn't a storm, it was just a black wall of dirt that come rolling in. And it didn't just last one day. It went on, seemed like forever. They lived in it, they scratched out of living in it, and they fought it every day just to survive. He said his mother would come in there late at night and put a wet cup towel around him and his twin sister's face just to keep the dirt off of them. And he said the next morning, the cracks in the wall in that old bedroom that they were sleeping in, you could see the lines of dirt perfectly across the sheet that was laying on top of them. The dust would get so thick that they'd light a lantern in the house 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Chickens go to roost in the middle of the day, but they never give up hope, because it wasn't just affecting one person or one family. Folks, this covered an area forever. This brought about something else besides just a dust bowl. It brought people together, and they found out through the grit that was in their teeth made grit in their heart, and it gave them determination to no matter what Mother Nature throws at you, we're going to get through this and we're going to survive. These people truly were the toughest generation of folks I ever met in my life. Salt pork is finished off. They have licked the bowl clean. They have. Everybody was starving. You know, it'd be such a treat to have something sweet that we could put out there on the table, especially for those little youngins gathered around with us. And what are we making? What are we talking about? It is a rice pudding. When the Depression hit, the government stepped in with something called Extension Service. They sent out women known as home demonstration agents, traveling teachers, who went from town to town showing folks how to make and do with the little that they had. They taught women how to can vegetables, sew clothes, and cook balanced meals out of next to nothing. White sauce was one of their biggest lessons. It used the cheapest ingredients you could find, and it could stretch a handful of potatoes or leftover greens into supper for the whole family. Now, evaporated milk was another Depression staple. It didn't spoil and you could buy it cheap. In 1931, a can cost about 10 cents. And a lot of folks thought it made food taste richer than plain milk. You'd see it in everything: biscuits, mashed potatoes, even desserts like rice pudding. Well, we simmered that rice for about 25 minutes, stirring continuously till the rice got tender. Now, I brought it over here, going to let it cool just a minute, but we need 2 egg yolks. That is a good chicken right there. There's 1. There is 2. Now, to that, we're going to add some brown sugar, if it'll come out. There it went. Tablespoon of melted butter that is cooled, because we don't want to temper them eggs. A little bit of vanilla, I'd say about a teaspoon. And then we're going to whisk all that together so we don't temper this when we mix this together. I just want you to get just a tad, and I'm gonna have to do it left-handed because I need to be stirring right-handed. Pour it in here. That'll warm them eggs up. That way ain't nobody gonna bake before they get ready. So we got that mixed well. You get rid of this because we're gonna finish it with this whisk, I think. Dump that in there. We're gonna take it back to the fire. Let it simmer till it thickens up till the desired consistency and call it a day. Sugar was a luxury. Folks used sorghum, molasses, or even a drizzle of syrup from canned fruit to sweeten what little they had. Rice pudding actually came from much older roots. Recipes go back to the pioneer days and even further across the ocean. But during the Depression, it became a staple. Rice was cheap and kept forever, and it filled you up. If you had raisins, that was a big day. It meant payday, or maybe even Christmas. Evaporated milk was promoted by brands like Pet and Carnation as the poor man's cream. Well, there you have it, rice pudding. And Shan done put some raisins on there, but I'm gonna go ahead and eat it because I do like some rice pudding. Very simple again to make it was, but remember, don't walk off and leave this. You got to sort of constantly stir it to keep that milk from scorching, and after you put the sugar in it to keep that as scorching as well. So I'm gonna have me a bite. I am shocked. That'll make you run back to the table and get another bite. Now, to me, the flavor that pops out of that really is to me, a tapioca pudding taste right off the bat. But then you get that cinnamon, and then them little raisins add a little sweetness to it. So I'm sure back then when you'd set this on the table, no matter if it was just 2 spoonfuls or what to go around to feed everybody, they were very thankful for it. They were. Well, we hope y'all enjoyed this episode because it really does bring back a lot of memories for me to be able to sort of think back to the stories that my dad told me and all them old timers of how rough it was. But tough times made very tough people. Back then it did. And speaking of other tough people, I'd like to tip my hat to all the servicemen and women and all the veterans that have kept that old flag flying over camp. We commend you all. To all the old timers and all the couples that fought through these daily battles of dust storms and depression, I thank you for the grit you put in my heart. I do. Rest of you, get on up in here. And remember, no matter how hard the times are, God is with you, we are with you, and it ain't no step for a stepper. Big hug I give you today. God bless you each and every one, and I'll see you down the Depression-era supper table. I'm sorry.
I will see you down.
I will see you down the dust. I will see you down the Depression-era. What do we call it? I will see y'all down the Depression-era supper table trail.